So the first thing you do is you think about it. And we know from looking at his YouTube comments and his searches, he was certainly thinking about it. In fact, he told, I think it was Dr. Denny or Dr. Scott, that he'd been watching the Columbine when he was 13 or 14 years old, the Columbine shooting. So we know he's been talking about it for a long time and thinking about it for a long time. So what's he do? First thing you do, you want to accomplish something, you research. So he researched. He researched prior mass shootings. So he researched, obviously, Columbine, because he mentioned that when he was 13 or 14. So he looks up the Columbine mass shooting at the school, Charlottesville shooting, the McDonald's mass shooting in San Diego, the Montreal Polytech in Montreal, Canada, the Las Vegas shooting that I mentioned before, the Aurora shooting that I mentioned before, the Aurora, Colorado movie theater, Virginia Tech. He researches the Virginia Tech mass shooting. He looks up Westlake, Minnesota high school shooting, and also the Jakola High School in Finland. He did all that research. And then what else do you do after you do your research? You get all your details in order. Was he detailed? Let's look at what he does. First of all, he already had his AR-15, Smith & Wesson 5.56 M&P 15, serial number TF16214. When did he buy that? He bought that on February, he picked it up on February the 18th, 2017. Almost a year before the murders at Marjory Stoneman Douglas. So he had the gun. So what else do you need now? Now, we know from him speaking to Dr. Denny and Dr. Scott, he made some additions to this gun. He put a bipod on it. And you'll see it. You've seen it. It's in evidence. He put a vertical grip for better balance. And he put a sling on it. So now what do you need for a mass shooting? You need a lot of what? You need a lot of ammunition. You need a lot of rounds. You need a lot of bullets. So it accumulates a lot of bullets. What did he say on the cell phone video? A couple what? Tracer rounds. So we got tracer rounds. What else do you need? If you have bullets and you have a semi-automatic weapon, you have to have a firearm magazine that goes in a firearm magazine well. So it accumulates magazines. And we know from the testimony that he brought 11 firearm magazines to Marjory Stoneman Douglas when he entered the 1200 building. Okay, so now you have that. What else do you need? Well, how long does it take a cop to respond to a school shooting? He researched that. And you can see that, in what's been introduced in his searches. How long does it take for a cop to respond to a school shooting? What else? The bell schedule. Even though he went to Marjory Stoneman Douglas, he downloaded the bell schedule. What else do you need? You need, now you have magazines and you put your bullets in the magazines. How are you going to get these magazines to the school? Well, how about a vest? And the vest has to have a lot of pockets because you're going to put those magazines. And the magazines that are left are in evidence. Feel how heavy just one of them is. Now he's got to get something to keep these magazines, to take them to the school. So he gets this vest that has 10 pockets, pouches, so he can put those magazines, those fully loaded magazines in that vest. Okay, now he's got a vest. You can't wear that vest and just get in the Uber and go to school with that vest. So you have to do what? You have to find a way to transport that vest. So he has a backpack. And what does he do? He puts the vest in the backpack. In the vest are the 10 magazines. 40-round magazine. I think there were 2 40-round magazines, and the rest were 30-round magazines. And he had a 10-round magazine in his pocket. What else? You got to take the gun. You just can't take the gun on Uber. So you may recall that he was searching for a guitar case. He finally wound up with that Cabela bag. All right, so now you got this Cabela bag. You have to figure out what? Something to say to the Uber driver because she may be suspicious. So what does he say to her? I'm going to music class. Explains his instrument that he's taking. So now he has something to transport his rifle, something to transport the vest that contains the magazines. What else? You want to blend in, right? So he gets his JROTC polo shirt to wear. All these details he thought of, and he did. That's exactly what he did. And when he went there, he told the Uber driver he was going to music class. He told the Uber driver, and this is really interesting. You talk about executive function. Remember the mental health experts were talking about executive function. He's on his way to school, to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. He's directing Laura Zucchini. She was the Uber driver. Where to go? Remember, she was going to go straight down and Hamburg Road and cross Pine Island and go to a different exit. No, he didn't want to go there. He knew, first of all, in planning, you have to know where you're going to go. So he wanted to go to the pedestrian gate that's on Pine Island Road. So he directed Miss Lucchini to make a left-hand turn on the Pine Island to go to the pedestrian gate. You also have to research what time you're going to get there. First of all, those gates lock after the students and the teachers go into school, so they have to open up prior to school letting out. But you don't want to get there exactly when school's letting out at 2:40 because you're going to be what? Losing your targets. So he gets there after the gates open and before school lets out at 2:40 because he arrives what? At 2:19. He starts shooting in the hall at 2:21:33. So he did all this research, he did all this thinking, and on the way to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas in the Uber, what is he doing? Remember they're talking about executive function? What is he doing? And it's introducing evidence. Look at it. He is having it's a three-way because he's involved with two other people. He's trying to get and text to Angie Gilmartin, who's not at Marjorie Stoneman. She's at another school, and she says, look, I'm busy, I'm at school, I'll talk to you later. And then he's also texting J.T. Jameson Sneed, who he was living with that family, about having a party and having girls over. So he's having this conversation on his way, this texting conversation, to do two different people while he's on his way. And he tells J.T. Sneed what? Can you get the girls there? Where are you going? I'm going to the movies. I'm not going to work. I don't go to school on Valentine's Day. And I'm going to call my employer and tell them I'm not coming, but I'm going to the movies. On the way to accomplish his plan.